Wealthy Wall Street financiers have reportedly begun to narrow down their list of 2020 favorites, and it should be no surprise who they are. The New York Times reported last Sunday that three candidates are generating most of the buzz among powerful Wall Street donors. Now get a load of who they are. South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg, former Vice President Joe Biden, and Senator Kamala Harris. So those are the three that are generating the most buzz among the Wall Street elite. Now, the Times wrote, while many are still hedging their bets, those who care most about picking a winner are gravitating toward Mr. Biden and Ms. Harris, while donors are swooning over Mr. Buttigieg enough to open their wallets and bundling networks for him. Now, the Times interviewed 24 top fundraisers and political advisors for that piece. Now, according to the Times, the Wall Street donors opening their wallets for the 2020 race are attracted to Biden's, quote, ideological moderation, which basically means, as he has reaffirmed in recent appearances, that he will offer zero change. Biden is your ultimate status quo candidate. He will not change a thing. Now, these donors are also attracted to Buttigieg's charisma and intellect, which is fine. But what about policy? Buttigieg, what kind of policy? How are you going to help the American people? Are you going to do Medicare for all? You're going to sign the Progressive Pledge? You going to do anything like that? We'll see. But I don't think he will. And then this one's interesting. They're also attracted to Harris's, quote, potential as a possible primary victor, even as she now trails in the polls. Now, why Kamala Harris? Because she ticks off a lot of boxes. She's, young. She's African-American woman. But she's also incredibly establishment friendly, and yet has staked out positions like being in favor for Medicare for all. So that's what that's the positions that she says she's in favor of. We'll have to see, right? And so, yes, this is what Wall Street is saying. We really like, especially Ms. Harris. Now, Harris, I think, will likely rise in the polls as Biden slumps. I can see that happening as the establishment pick. Right now, Biden, and this is all speculation, right now Biden is pretty high up in the polls. But what Biden does is that he usually ends up crashing and burning before the end of the primary. And so I think Harris is probably going to end up taking Biden's spot as of least maybe second or third, right? But anyway, now, Juliana Smoot, who served as the National Finance Director for Obama's 2008 presidential campaign, said, quote, those are the three. Now, Smoot actually brought in a ton of Wall Street money for Obama's campaign. In fact, he brought in more Wall Street money in 2008 than Republicans. Shocker, right? Now, she said something interesting. She said, if you could roll all three of them into a single candidate, well, you'd have the perfect candidate. Oh, so what kind of things are they looking for? Checks off all the boxes, of course. Young, minority, not Bernie Sanders. Anybody but Bernie, they say. Has ideological moderation. And I think that's what they're most really concerned with. But in reality, of course, what it would be perfect for is zero change. More establishment politics. More of the same, more of the status quo. And that's it, too. None of those candidates are really into actual change. Again, Kamala Harris says she backs Medicare for all, but also says she's open to other solutions. So, what about Medicare for all X? Or, whatever kind of public option plan that they have. And that's basically all they have. Is, we'll just expand the ACA and provide very little change, maybe open up a public option, which is basically a Band-Aid at this point. But again, checking boxes, ideological moderation, that's it. And that's what they think takes to win, by the way. And of course, whatever candidate is backed by Wall Street will end up serving Wall Street. And these candidates, look, are more than happy to pledge their service in exchange for campaign donations at swanky fundraisers, right? Now, Hamilton James was supposed to meet Mr. Buttigieg, but actually he did meet Mr. Buttigieg. Hamilton James is a vice chairman of the Blackstone Group, and is a top fundraiser. He met with Buttigieg a while ago, and since, of course, there's a shooting in South Bend, Buttigieg had to cancel a lot of his recent campaign events to go do damage control back in South Bend. As far as other candidates and other donors, the short-selling hedge fund manager James Chanos held an event for Biden last Monday. Last Tuesday, Mark Lazary, the hedge fund manager and co-owner of the Milwaukee Bucks, gathered checks for Ms. Harris. Co-hosts of that event included Blair Efron, an investment bank co-founder and an influential Democratic financier, and Ray McGuire, vice chairman of Citigroup. Among those spreading money around is Brad Karp, chairman of the Paul Weiss law firm and a top attorney for Wall Street institutions. He actually had hosted Mr. Biden for a reception last Tuesday. He's also a co-host for Lawyers Lunch for Ms. Harris that happened that same day. Do you know who's not there? Bernie Sanders. You know who's also not there? Elizabeth Warren. Now, look, to be fair, Elizabeth Warren did say that she was open to taking corporate money in the general. That deeply upsets me. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. It's not an opinion. I mean, the fact that she said she is open with that money, she told Cenk Uygur during an interview with the Young Turks, I would be open to taking corporate money in the general election, but I will not take it in the primary. Despite that, Wall Street still hates both of them. Again, back in January, Wall Street bankers said this about the possibility of a Warren-Sanders nomination. Quote, it can't be Warren and it can't be Sanders. That's the CEO of a big bank talking to Politico, saying it can't be Warren, it cannot be Sanders. It can't be either of those. Now, it's not just Biden, Buttigieg, and Harris that have emerged as Wall Street favorites. There are others. David Adelman, an attorney who represents the financial industry, told The Times that he feels a generational pull towards Beto O'Rourke, or Robert Francis, as I like to call him. Adelman says, quote, it's important to rotate the crops. Ain't that a statement? Wall Street bankers have also donated to Senator Kirsten Gillibrand and Cory Booker, according to The Times. Cory Booker is somebody that I could see taking a lot of Wall Street money. But going back to that statement, rotate the crops. Well, that's how they see this, right? They're basically growing these campaigns, fertilizing them with money, so that they will get a return if one of these people ends up becoming president. And you know what we call that? Corruption. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent, progressive media.